Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Aaron Metz, the head football coach at Hartland. How are you, Aaron?
I'm great. How about yourself, Casey?
Doing well. So, first off, I know it has been a while since you've been a head coach, but I know you have not left the game. I know you've been doing some work at Lansing Catholic the last couple of years, and including a part being winning a state title a few years ago. But what was it like to be a head coach again? I know, and also to come back to a place where you kind of got your start in coaching a little bit.
Well, absolutely. It's where I got started back in 1997 with Tab Calpori doing my interview at the local gas station as we were pumping gas, and said, "Hey, you want to come coach?" And and got into it, and I don't know, 27 years later, it's been all part of my life. You know, Head coaching, it's I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work. Um, but it's a passion that once you get involved, it's hard to give up and quit it. And at the end of the day, I always tell everybody coaching's a get to for me, not a have to. And when that changes is when I need to get out of the game. And, this opportunity came open real close to my house. And my wife and my family talked about it a lot, and it just the cards fell where they did, and it fit.
Yeah. So I know obviously has it been different since I know you've been in Livingston County. Of course, you've had stops at Brighton and obviously most recently in the county at Howell. But what is it? And you know the area, you know the conference, and not much has changed since you left.
No, I mean there's obviously some new faces. It's kind of I ran into Coach Colbert this past weekend. We were talking about, I think he's the only guy that's, the stayed in the league since it started.
Yeah.
And we got that media day coming up, and it's like, man, I was at the first one with Dan Hutchinson, and for all relative purposes, who knows what's going to happen next year with the league? But I'm back at the last one before the Livonia schools leave next year. But I mean, it's everything. There's new. There's obviously a lot of familiar faces. You know, it, when I took the Hartland job, it was sometimes you forget the friendships that you make among other head coaches and guys in the league. The number of guys that reached out and welcomed me back was cool, and it's sometimes you forget those relationships over time. But it's good to be back in a familiar place a little bit. But obviously there's a lot of work to get done.
Absolutely. All right. So how was the summer? And because I know you got hired early on in the year, so you had a little bit of an off season program. Got to spend with the kids most of the off season. How was that? And then what's this week going on? What's this week like? Because I know a lot of coaches treat this week a lot of differently because no football activities, but I know you can still do some stuff.
Yeah, beyond so obviously getting hired in, I think February 1st or whatever else, and you know I'm grateful. Heartland Schools has a strength coach and Coach Chaz, and he kills it. He does a great job. He's been there forever. So that was just a matter of showing up and being present every day when the kids were in there. And then starting to put our spin and getting a staff in place and interviewing all those guys. And I took my time doing that because I know the staff is such an important thing to build the program the right way. So I tried to do my due diligence and talk to everybody and just really spent a lot of time doing that. And then getting those guys caught up to speed. So really we hit the summer running. But, the reality is one of the things many of the things, or one for sure I learned up at Lansing Catholic is that, when you're at a small school and you got kids, you got to have kids playing multiple sports, and you got to have kids involved. And Heartland's a big school, but they are truly a multi-sport school. And
Yes.
so you look at the number of players that we have that are involved in wrestling, hockey, lacrosse, baseball, and they're good in those sports.
Yeah.
And so there's a balance that we want those kids out for football. And so I try to be real mindful of those things. So we kept our lifting going all through June. We did one camp and 7-on-7 in June, but for the most part, we tried to give that time to our other players because I don't ever want to put a player in a spot to have to choose between football and other sport. That to me is not right.
Right.
So we did that, and then July we hit the ground running. Um, we did something a little different. We did camps every Monday, Tuesday because it was great this year because July was a 4-week month in terms of like having a full month before the dead week. So we went camps Monday, Tuesday, 7-on-7s on Wednesday. Kept our same lifting schedule in the morning. Um, and kept rolling. And the kids it's all new. So, some of those programs that have been around for a little bit that have some established systems and schemes in place, they're probably a little ahead of us. But, our kids, these are smart kids, and they've really gotten, hit the ground running and learned what we needed them to learn. And then really this week it goes back again to what I learned in Lansing, and I think I've been guilty even in past jobs of sometimes you can do too much to burn kids out. And this week, there's lifting in the morning, but they're off. They're off. For me as the head coach, this week is just making sure everything's in order. Meeting with coaches, making sure that everything's been ordered, make sure it's coming in, making sure our inventory is right, um, making sure that picture day is all organized and scheduled. Just like really trying to get things right, cleaning equipment room, just making sure that everything's the way that we want it to be on August 11th. Um, you know, so meeting with team moms, like just getting all the stuff so that on August 11th we're focused on football and those other items that they're done. Making sure all physicals are turned in, like all those things, the paperwork stuff is done. But giving our kids a chance to, if their families are getting away, to get away. If they want to get that last week of real work in for the summer to hit the hours, get them in. Um, so that's been the whole week and things like that.
Absolutely. All right, now let's of course talk about some of the returners that you guys have this year and some of the faces to watch for Heartland this year.
Yeah. So if you look at it, we return a pretty, I think a pretty deep senior class. And we have some guys that are stepping up to be leaders and get an opportunity. The thing that's I don't know how much it's just the way we're going to do it is 11 best are going to play offense and defensively. So there's not to say we're not a platoon system yet where we have 11 different starters on each side. I'd love to have that be that, but I don't know that we're quite there yet. And so our kids are having to make sure they have equal reps on both sides of the ball. So we're learning, there's guys like, Jack Lansing, who has had a great off season, has earned himself an opportunity at the next level. And now it's just a matter of focusing on this level, which he's done. So he's a guy that we're looking for to be an impact player and have an opportunity on both sides of the ball. You look at, we have a quarterback competition going with Michael Elliott, Logan Morris, and Matt Ross. Obviously Michael Elliott finished the second half of the year really strong, and so our seniors have first shot. And so as we've went through 7-on-7s, we're putting the seniors out there first. They get the first chance to earn their spot. And so once we get the pads on and some of those things, then it will really show up. But then you have guys, Lucas Bates is a guy who we're looking for. Brett Karwowski has been a two-way starter on the line. Preston Spiz is a kid who, they had some skilled guys, but it's really had a pretty strong summer. Brad Assemacher, who's when I talk about these kids, you're like, man, I heard about this kid in basketball, or I saw this kid. And yeah, those are kids that are out there that are playing multiple sports. Ronan Poe, who's one of the fastest kids on our track team, has been there and playing well at corner. So we feel like we got some guys coming around, and getting some guys back from injuries. They had last year quite a few knee injuries. So we're getting some of those guys back and healthy. And, so the seniors they're going to lead the way for us. And so I think we got about 24, 25 of them. So we have a good number of seniors. And then the juniors are going to fill in, and we have some strong kids there. I mean, and people know who they are. Like William Tobin is a beast of a guy. A young man. He's got some growth to do, just like anybody. But as a 6'4", 300-pound guy, he's a big, strong kid. And Nate Anderer, who's a heck of a lacrosse goalie, potentially a Division I, Division II. Being there for us, that's another junior that we're looking for some things from. So I feel like we have competition, and that's all I can ask for as a coach is to compete for these kids. And then, the cards are going to fall where they're going to fall, and the best players are going to play.
Yep. All right. Well, we've talked about the kids. Now let's talk about the upcoming schedule for you guys. Of course, it starts week one. Of course, traveling all the way out to the blue turf to take on Oxford, of course, who won that division. That will be on the 28th. That will be on I believe that's the 28th or 29th.
It's the Friday, so
Yep.
the Friday of Labor Day weekend.
So,
They're the home team. They pick the date a little bit, and so. But that puts all our games on a Friday. It allows us to be honest, not try to crank have to do much more on the weekends with our kids. It allows, to allow them to still have some of their summer and get away as opposed to cramming things in over the weekends and practice on a Sunday with them.
absolutely. And then the remaining schedule, of course, I'll run through this real quick. About September 5th, the home opener against Novi. Week 3 at Plymouth on September 12th, September 19th at Brighton, September 26th home against Salem, October 3rd home against Howell, October 10th at Northville, October 17th home against Canton, and then the crossover game on the 24th. That will be at a KLAA East site because the East teams host the crossover game this year. So a pretty good schedule. I know it's what you're used to, what you're getting back into, I should
Yeah.
say. But what's it going to be like playing all these teams again?
It's fun. I mean, I'd like to say there's familiarity, but it's been 5 years, 6 years. And so things change, scheme change, personnel, sometimes demographics change. The reality is we're road warriors this year at the varsity level. We're on the road. We got to get it done, and we got to win our county. I mean, history shows when you win Livingston County, you got a shot.
Yeah.
And so that's the reality of the mix for us. You may know our schedule better than me at this point. We're worried about week one and building ourselves
Right.
more than anything else. And we're going to take it. And I know, there's a lot of cliches and things like that, but we really are just taking it like, we have a plan for our first week of 2 days. Then we're going to go to the next plan where we get ready for those scrimmages. And then we're going to get ready for Oxford. And then as we move through the schedule, we're going to take it 1 week at a time. We're going to keep focused on ourselves and getting better each week.
Absolutely. And I just went through the entire schedule to let the audience know where.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you guys it's the 1 week at a time thing. And obviously, it works. But let's talk about the next 2 weeks. When the 11th rolls around, what is that going to be like for you? And also just what's the plan for the next 2 weeks? Of course, we got the scrimmage next week, and then just this week with the installs and all the with helmets, then the shoulder pads, then the full pads, and what's that going to be like for this team as you kind of get back into being in charge again?
Yeah. So, well, and we've worked to lay out expectations all summer of what to expect, but obviously, and I'm not gonna we've had guys and that are doing high level sports, and so the nice thing about August 11th is we're going to have our whole team there, and we've had great attendance and we've had majority, but same thing. There's 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 summer vacations, there's family trips, there's kids playing sports, and so um, and I respect that, and I said that on day one when I came in. I mean, heck, for families, the summer's a great time for vacations. If you're gonna go, go. So that August 11th, we're gonna hit the ground running with expectations, and I feel good. The kids know what our expectations are. Obviously, we restart, we reboot, we install right from where we started, ground zero. Get our base offense and defense and special teams in, and then I'm a big tempo guy. I want practices upbeat. I want up practice being going fast, and it's not about the time you put it, like the amount of time. It's the quality of the time. And so if we get done, we got to get done. We're going to be done. Like that's why I tell kids, like, we're going to respect your time. Let's just come and hammer out the work we need to get done to accomplish our goals. And that's the first 3 days of 2 days, even though the padding has changed over the years and the rules. Really, I still stick with like our offense and defense really got to be, for the most part, installed by those first 3 days. Get our base offense in and defense in those 3 days, and then you start making tweaks. And and really it comes down to when we go on, Wednesday, Thursday are helmets and shoulder pads. Our expectations, we're always moving at full speed. Obviously, it's not tackling when you don't have pants on and stuff like that. But I think that's where the game has changed some. Like, we're going to do full contact on Friday when we can put full pads on, but it's not the day and age of where you just line up and just beat the heck out of each other for 2 hours so you can. So that will be the first week. I mean, we're doing our scrimmage on Friday night under the lights. Is where I know a lot of teams do it on Saturday, but we're going to go Friday night lights, and just start getting in that routine of playing on Fridays. And so that's what our first week looks like. And then we're excited for it. Like, I mean, that's the reason I'm trying to do everything I can this week and give the kids the week off, is so that when Monday comes, I have all my stuff done, so I can just get to be a high school football coach.
Sure.
And I can coach the game, coach the position. I can work with our offensive linemen and do those things that I love doing, and I think that I have a passion for doing. So, that's what our week looks like.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Aaron, thanks for the time as always. Best of luck to you guys this season, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Casey.